Welcome to the Cabin Maker channel. In today's video, we'll follow a young couple, John and Sarah, on an incredibly bold journey, building a beautiful log cabin from scratch in the middle of the wilderness. From the early days of digging a muddy foundation to the completed cabin, shining bright among the pine trees in the warm glow of sunset. This process requires immense patience, skill, and love. Let's see how they turn raw logs into a perfect home. Getting right to work, John starts up the excavator to level the ground, while Sarah helps measure the depth and drive stakes to mark the boundaries. They set up the straight formwork and use the mud mixer together. Pour the first layer of concrete into the foundation trench. Once the concrete sets, John uses a pickaxe to dig a sloped trench, prepares the rebar starters, and begins laying solid concrete blocks around the foundation pit.
Looks like 38 minutes to do. Lay some block. No, this isn't my first time. That's where we finish it up today. I'm excited to get going. I think it passed the strength test. Forgot about it. Put that one over there. So we'll go. It's gonna be sweet. Driveway, so I'm happy to have that gravel before, winter time. See if it's thick enough. Oh, this is just a thing of beauty.
To brave the freezing winter, Sarah carefully measures, cuts, and installs pink foam insulation boards. Very joyous, even as the snow is falling.
Why do all that concrete? But the ceiling's gonna sit on top of this, so this will just be a big center beam. Down here, these are two different dimensions, and there's this little lip. And no lip. Perfect. And I was stuck between the gravel I have and well, I hit a little screw and
Finally, they screw down the waterproof plywoods and flooring, preparing for the framing of the cabin.
I had the question a lot last video Did I forget the stairs? I think my sister even. Okay, I think that helped a little. Check the video.
This is when the cabin's shape really begins to take form. With the help of the excavator, John lifts the heavy logs to build the walls and uses a drill to make holes for locking pins down through the logs. He used a hand chisel to carve precise saddle notches. Together, they assemble the large log purlins for the A-frame roof under the sunny sky.
Hey, it stayed.
While Sarah measures the distance between the logs, John uses a grinder to smooth out the outdoor log ends and adjust the loft partition wall.
Scared it's gonna drop when I put it up there. Alright, look at that, we have a roof.
The first step in finishing the roof structure is laying down and securing the roofing felt. This serves as a solid protective barrier, waterproofing the roof against the elements. John continues to reinforce the purlins and the roof overhangs. Every detail of the timber frame is carefully measured and screwed into place. The installation of the OSB boards for the dormer windows is carried out to create airtight and sturdy surfaces.
Like a feather.
he uses a chainsaw to fine-tune the window frames and trim off any protruding logs, ensuring everything is perfectly square. The log notches are thoroughly sanded. Then, they apply a coat of specialized protective sealant to protect against the elements and termites. The roofing phase
about 2 inches left down there.
The cracked corrugated metal sheets are cut to size, hoisted on the roof, and screwed securely into the frame. It seems human construction speed is still no match for the real estate takeover by this bird family. John continues to sand and clean all the interior wall surfaces. Outside, the excavator is constantly running to clear, level, and reshape the hillside landscape around the cabin.
Add a little more.
After trimming the last of the excess wood and doing a final cleanup, the roof, finishing phase of the log cabin, is successfully completed. John begins shaping the spiral staircase steps from raw logs. Each chainsaw cut is carefully made to ensure precision. Next, he sands the steps and secures them to the main post. The screwing is done meticulously, ensuring the sturdiness of the staircase structure. John transports and positions a large log to the staircase handrail. John focuses on finishing up the staircase.
Strong enough, get All right, well, we're still having a landing, at least for a little bit. My plan is to route
not forgetting to protect the timber. He continues applying waterproof and termite-resistant coating to the wooden roof elements. The scene shifts to preparing for another major task.
kill my battery.
John transports and positions a large log, possibly to use as a support pillar or crossbeam. Then, John returns to fine-tuning the window frames, trimming away excess wood in preparation for the glass window installation. The exterior log notches are sanded once more. Back inside, John focuses on finishing the staircase handrail. He assembles the wood and metal pieces, creating a design that is both safe and aesthetically pleasing. On the outside of the cabin, John uses a ladder to reach the high roof area, continuing with the wood siding or installing the final finishing touches.
The next few days.
The chinking process
Hopefully
begins.
he's not here all that long.
John meticulously applies chinking in the gaps between the logs inside the cabin, which helps insulate it and gives it a finished look.
So we'll update you on that in the morning.
John and his wife start applying the specialized chinking to seal up the gaps between the logs. They meticulously smooth out the white chinking from the inside out to the exterior walls, ensuring the cabin is perfectly insulated. Climbing up to the loft, John manually carries and aligns the large glass window frame. He continuously measures carefully to ensure the frame fits the unique architecture of the log cabin's roof.
Expected.
Outside, John uses a circular saw to trim the OSB wall sheathing. The cabin is really taking shape with the windows now
Like that
clearly
tomorrow.
defined. Returning to the main entrance, he uses a chainsaw to trim the log edges flat and uses a chiseled tong cut mortises for the hinges. The window and door frames are secured and tightly sealed with silicone. John installs the door handle and continues to apply the acoustic foam, insulating around the edges of the large glass panes. He also uses a chainsaw to trim the main support logs, squaring them off perfectly. Work now
get some
shifts
more
down
gravel
to the basement area.
Over in our pit.
John measures, uses spirit level, and lays down foam board insulation to prevent moisture.
This
Meanwhile,
stuff is just
the
really
chinking
firm
on the
now,
walls
and
has
I
fully
can't
cured,
find anywhere.
creating an
I'll use it a
incredibly
little bit
solid
here
bond.
when it goes from C bolt cutters. Take a little more off. A little more grinding, and we'll be back.
Starting on the green energy setup, John climbs on the
We're gonna
pitched
install
metal
some
roof.
baffles in the
He
ceiling.
drills and mounts the mounting brackets, applies waterproof sealant, and carefully installs each solar panel while running the electrical cabling across the roof. Back in the utility room, John is working on the heart of the electrical system. He frames out the wooden wool, mounts the inverter, then uses wire strippers to strip the wires, crimps the terminals, and professionally wires everything into the circuit breaker.